Hello there, friends. Before we jump into it,
we are less than 30 days away from one of the things I thought I would never announce, the Common Cause 1-year anniversary. This coming November 9th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, you have your opportunity to win some of the greatest prizes, all while contributing to a phenomenal cause, the Purple Hearts Home. This is going to be the biggest event for Pauper Commander. I'm going to do the absolute insane amount of prizes for everyone, so make sure you register at omgmtg.com. Links going live. Make sure you register. I will see you there.
all right, on to the show. Attending your first MagicCon if you've never done so before. And what we're going to do, this is on the heels of MC Las Vegas. We're a couple of days after the fact. Izlain had traveled, all the way from his home in the LA greater area through the Death Interstate over to Vegas. What's that? Interstate 15?
Yeah.
And then made his way back safe. Yeah. Made his way back safe and all that stuff. And yeah. Basically, we're going to talk to you about the MagicCon experience if you've never been. If you have been, maybe you'll pick up some pointers that some traveling savvy people have experienced. I've gone to a few of these now myself, along with some other like magic-related travel stuff. Obviously, if you don't know who this is, I say that every episode, and it should be obvious that the people that come on here are notable in some kind of way. This is my man Izlain from the Possibility Store. Go ahead and pitch your stuff.
Hi. Hello. This is my stuff. We'll put this shit in the show notes, I'm sure. But I run the Possibility Storm. It is a primarily cPDH focused channel. That's at least how I got my start, because that's what I was playing as I started the channel. But over the course of time, I did discover the lovely Pauper side of things, and found that I rather enjoyed it. But as we said during the patron only thing, I cover everything that's competitive and don't really look at much else. So when I came over to Pauper, it was immediately I didn't play casual at all. I immediately went to the big leagues and said, I'm going to try and play in a tournament. And within a year of starting, I was playing in tournaments. So, here we are. But yeah, I cover cDH and cPDH stuff. I've been doing a kind of sister podcast style interview series with Clay here, where he does it immediately, and then I usually bug the people like a couple days later. I
suppose we should start calling it the circuit, right? I mean, everybody else is calling it the circuit. I've
been calling it that. Yeah, it's kind of like if you're a celebrity and you did something cool, or like you're a guy that just won the big sports ball game, and everybody wants to get an interview with you. We're kind of those guys.
I was just hesitant. I was just a little hesitant because I knew that Izlain wanted to get in on doing this stuff, but it's really tough to, as people come along and you do these interviews, you're like, oh, I'll mention to them like, hey, Izlain will get out, reach out to you and all that stuff. And they're like, when? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Soon, very soon, very soon.
It seems to have been that every time like one of these things happened, especially when it wasn't like one that I participated in, some of these other side tournaments that I've not been a part of, I sometimes don't even know they exist. And then Clay's like a few days later, like, hey, you should probably talk to this guy because he won a thing. And I'm like, oh, thanks. I had no idea. So, in that case, sorry to those of you who may have, won something in the past or did something notable and I didn't get around to you. But I only know about certain events. So I kind of leave it to Clay to tell me if there's something going on that I don't know about. And in that case, we've kind of alley-ooped each other into doing what we can to bring more eyeballs to this format. And that's been my goal, is to try and use whatever, for lack of a better term, clout that I have in the cDH sphere, or the amount of following that I have over there, like just trying to point eyeballs to this direction. And I think we were pretty successful with that, especially after, the recent bannings and stuff with cDH. A lot of people were disgruntled, and I think we tried pretty hard to, put a focus on this format and, how you could easily transition over and this and that. And I've been trying to do whatever I can.
Girl, it's so easy. It's so easy to transition. Just do it. Okay.
I mean, everybody else does.
MagicCons. Okay. what is a MagicCon? I've got a couple of notes here. Basically, I'll just read through a little bit of it. We'll take a pause as we go through the various topics. MagicCon is a multi-day celebration of Magic the Gathering featuring tournaments, panels, cosplay, vendors, and community events. So I know I simplified that list, right? But, you know, they have cosplay contests. The community panels are usually associated with, like they'll do the Game Nights Live, and they'll do other things where they're talking about, like I think 60 Card Poppers had a panel where they talk about the format and that kind of thing. Community panels could also be related to the spoiler things that Izlain and I talked about extensively, the actual cards and stuff in the pre-show. They also have like portfolio, not portfolio, like artist showcase, where they have actual like artists there as exhibitors, where they're selling their art, selling their wares,
signing stuff.
I
I
have purchased. In fact, I've got one right here. Here we go. The artist who did the new Dargo art, I pre-ordered a artist proof from that person and got it shipped to me. So yeah, got artist.
The last time I went, right here.
Yeah.
Mark Poole print of how signed print. And then I've got the card in a sleeve in the corner there because I owned a copy of the same art. So yeah, you can pick up all kinds of cool shit, and they will sign your cards that you bring, or you can buy something there. And a lot of them make their own target tokens. I have a bunch of the Mark Poole tokens that I bought that year too. Stuff for like tracking, like green, blue, red, or whatever, to track your mana, or storm count, a poison count. I got a few of them, elks, and other things that you might commonly turn shit into. So yeah, you can get a lot of cool stuff from those artists.
And along with the artists, you've got vendors. So you've got a lot of card vendors that show up, and you can buy reasonably priced foils and stuff like that. Know your cardboard. Always. I'm not going to say, yes, walk in blindly with your cash and present them with set cash. Know your cardboard when you're interacting with vendors always. And then the last component, actually, there's two components. The first one is there's a very, very large open play area. So you can
two. So there's like the free play, which they don't really care if you're in there no matter what. And then there's the command zone. In this year, I found it was different than years prior. The command zone at other conventions I'd gone to it was actually like cornered off. You couldn't enter it unless you had the appropriate badge or whatever. This year, it was wide open. I think anybody was able to play wherever the hell they wanted, and it didn't really matter. But I think that they may have just said that anybody that has a pass has access to the command zone. So that was that.
Yeah, they got pushback a few years back for charging for the command zone, which is why they made it open. So the other part, the open play, which is now literally open play, command zone, yada yada yada, because you can play other types of Magic there as well. But they also have like ticketed play areas and stuff like that. So they'll run limited events, draft, yada yada yada, and you can pay to play for that. And then the last, I was going to say not least, but potentially most important for some is Creator Central. So at Creator Central, that's where all of the invited creator guests show up and hang around. And
not even necessarily invited. It's you can apply for it. Like I missed the deadline. I didn't even realize it was a thing until after. And then when I went to go look at it, I had missed the deadline, so I didn't get a creator badge. But
you're burying my lead. So there's multiple levels of creator. There are some that have to apply to join the party. There are some that are invited by name to join. So Creator Central is basically where they coalesce, and they'll usually have couches, and you can usually hang. If you have a creator badge, it's kind of posh to go over there and socialize with all these high-profile cosplayers and stuff. I mean, I don't necessarily get anything from that. I mean, some of them are cool people, some of them are people. So there's that. But importantly, surrounding the creator central place is, when the professor is at the event, that's where his meet and greet in that area is going to be.
Him, the command zone,
in
all
a
the
high
huge people were
profile
up there. Yep.
So as you're going through, they'll typically have signage that shows where all of these areas are, and if you're interested, and an associated schedule that's usually posted on a website associated with that con. I even think there's an app for each con too. So
there's the MagicCon app. It updates constantly. It was showing like Amsterdam, and then it updated like a few days before to Vegas. I think it's now updated already to Chicago, because that's the next one. And also, every single day, I got an email at the beginning of the day, prior to the con opening. So it was like 8 a.m. Con opens at 10, 8 a.m. in the morning. I got an email. This is what's happening today, and this is scheduled. This is all the different shit you can see. So the information's out there, and it will be presented to you. It's a lot better now than it was, because I know I went to Grand Prix years past, and none of that happened. Nothing. Yeah. You just went in there, and it was the Wild fucking West. You did what you wanted to do.
You had to. Yeah, you had to know. So now, their communication plan is getting better. So where that is important. So the Las Vegas Convention Center, where Vegas is typically held, and McCormick Place in Chicago, where that con is usually held, are massive. They are huge. I mean, endless. many city blocks, and usually these cons are only taking up a small portion of these properties, which is weird to think of, because I mean they're that big.
It's insane.
So you're saying to yourself, new person, who has never been to a con before, think of it like going to the Smithsonian of Magic. And are you going to get everything out of the experience in one day? Because the doors typically open up at 10 and they close at 10 or midnight, depending on the day.
It was midnight there, the first Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday they close at 6. The whole thing closes at 6. And
okay. So if you're going to there's some pricing that I'm about to put out there for you. So I'm not going to read off all the pricing for the badges. It's actually quite varied and extensive, but the basic prices are, if you wanted to go for a single day, which we highly encourage you not to do, that's $40.
If you live nearby and you have a job and that's the only thing you can do, you can only go Saturday night, great. Pay the $40, go hang out with your friends, have a good time. Yep. You'll get a little taste of it, and that's probably gonna, but that little taste is gonna make you want to take the weekend off next time and do the whole experience.
100. And then speaking of weekend, a weekend pass is about $100. So that's 2 days, Saturday, Sunday, 12 hours, 12 plus hours on the first day. And then,
well, in the case of this, I don't know if they do it differently in each one, but in the case of this, weekend was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was the whole thing.
Perfect.
I don't think there was a Saturday, Sunday only pass. It was like either the full weekend,
that's even better,
one or other of the days, and then there was the extensive VIP. Then this VIP, then that VIP, then the Black Lotus, and the yada yada, to where it gets to where like you're spending a whole year's salary on this shit.
So he spoiled the intermediate levels. Like so the basic passes, single day 40, the entire weekend 100. He just mentioned the premium, the Uber premium Black Lotus package is $875 for the weekend. That includes the premium Black Lotus package includes a ticket to the dance. There's always some sort of like weird dance thing that happens on Friday
party
night.
Thing, yeah.
So there's that, and at the Black Lotus level, you get they get these like really like premium backpacks with a bunch of merch and gear. The
backpack did look really nice. I saw it. So it does have a lot of bells and whistles.
So is it a $875 backpack? Maybe not. But if you have the means to go to a con, it pays for all of your entrance. It gives you the Black Lotus package specifically, gives you access to a lounge internal to the con area. So that way, if you wanted to get a reprieve or a little, because these cons are massive and there's a vibration to them, you wanted to escape for a few moments. I've even heard of people I've never been inside one myself, but I've even heard people taking small naps inside of these quiet areas.
I want to say I saw one of those because there was an area where like I was walking against like the wall and I saw these doors open with like kind of somebody posted outside, like probably checking badges. And I saw people in there just on couches, just kind of chilling. And I was like, I wonder what this is. I thought maybe it was like a lounge for the pro players or something, but it must have been more likely what you're talking about.
Yeah. So they created these Black Lotus places because that's where all of the hired celebs that come to these events, that's where they hang out in the back. So
yeah, like a green room.
Yeah. So if you exactly, so if you wanted to pay your $875 to buy your premium Black Lotus package to get all of your swag, your gear, all of stuff
with it too. Yeah.
Yeah. A dance, ticket, all of that. This is the top of the line creator, not creator, but MagicCon experience. That's what I'm versus,
it's the ticket of a lifetime, so to speak.
Yeah. And then they have like everything in between,
including the creators, the exhibitors. Like Bobby had an exhibitor pass because he was basically making a space for Popper and etc. So yeah, there's a lot of different stuff that goes on there. We'll get to
the creator badges in a moment. So with regard to buying access to the con, just know that you have a range of opportunity. I think the single day and the weekend doesn't come with any
no bells and
loot. But then that next step after the fact, which is like legendary or something like that, that starts coming with like promos.
Yeah, back in the day, when I went to some of them where you had to buy the command zone pass or whatever, it was a little bit more than just general entry, and you got like a foil soul ring, and you got like other promo cards and like a deck box and a pack of sleeves, and it was always like 75 sleeves, and it was like, what the fuck why? We're not playing 60 card, damn it. But anyway. But yeah, it always came with something extra. And this is the first time I've gone where I paid for a weekend pass and didn't get any frills. But it was also, within my budget, and I didn't really care about the frills.
So that's the admission. Relative to lodging, so what I did, because I'm your friend, as of October 30th, 2024, not guaranteed past this date, I went ahead and I looked at some lodging prices as presented to me for the three main areas for MagicCon next year, because I'm your buddy. In Chicago, right now, you're looking at $225 a night for. Now, these are all areas. These are all areas that are con adjacent. So what I did,
walking distance.
So walking distance to the con. So that way, if you're going to, which we can get into travel in a minute, but like if you're looking to have that, hotel to con to hotel type of experience, then that's why I did that. So at Chicago in February of next year, it's $225 a night. In Vegas next June versus the end of the year is $190 a night, in proximity to the con. And then Atlanta is $200 a night. Now,
this is upfront early bird pricing. It changes the closer you get to the window.
It grows the closer you get. So, Clay,
buying early is definitely good.
So, Clay, why stay next to the con? I'll tell you why. Because
I can tell you a reason why too.
a lot of people are traveling to this con, and a lot of people will be staying in proximity to the con, and usually, most of the time, LobbyCon happens in those hotels that are proximate to those convention centers. So LobbyCon, for those of you who may not know, is the official term for
con after the con.
The con after the con. So once the doors close, or a lot of these hotels in proximity to these convention centers have restaurants. So people will leave the con, go get something to eat, and they'll decide, well, I'll just hang out here. And you'll start seeing people like, gaggle, around and actually start playing. This is LobbyCon, playing Magic at the hotel instead of going back to the convention center at 8 p.m. They'll just coalesce over at the hotel. Mm-hmm. So if you're interested in getting the most out of your MagicCon experience, I highly recommend you staying con adjacent at some of those hotels, because that gives you the best opportunity for participating in a LobbyCon XYZ. So
well, also, if you go in some of these groups too, like there may not be a lobby con, so to speak, but sometimes people get Airbnbs, and you may end up, this is more of like a creator thing or in a larger group. But like I may have interacted with like the pals and whoever, and maybe one of them was like, "Hey, we got this Airbnb. We're gonna go back and jam games till 2 a.m. You want to come with? Hey, fuck it. You can drink. You can crash out on the couch. You can crash out on the floor. Those kinds of things may present themselves to you as well."
So that's actually a good segue, because that's where I was going to pivot to. So for the individual or pair of Magic goers who are going to these cons for the first time, not knowing what to expect, that sort of thing, staying distant from the con might be troublesome depending on where you're staying. Now, if you're in Vegas and you're staying down on the Strip, like there's rooms that are like, I mean, you can get like rooms for like $28 and $40 a night down on the Strip. So
did you go to the far end away from the convention center?
So you can save money. You can save money by staying a little bit far away. Here's where the problem is. So most people are flying in, which we'll get into talking about flying and driving here in a moment. Most people will fly in. So that means you're stranded in a strange city without your vehicle or other conveyance, and you're staying at a hotel that is miles potentially away because you saved $1 from the convention center.
You're going to end up paying for it with Ubers and taxis. So it ends up being about the same. So you might as well just pony up and be in walking distance.
Now, that said, getting into what Izlain was talking about. So we're fortunate. We're really fortunate in the fact that we know people in the Pauper Commander space. And usually whenever we go somewhere, we're doing it as like a group of people and kind of coalescing as, a group, and quite a few of us will like buddy up. Like RAW is not a con, but like the first RAW I put in for an Airbnb that hosted all of us. Bobby did the same for this last RAW. But similar circumstances to that, where you're going with a bunch of people. And as long as you don't mind like sleeping on the floor or potentially buddying up next to somebody in a queen bed for a night or two, like you can reduce.
If you're not gay, they're not gay. Who cares? Who cares?
So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Liam and I notoriously have buddied up together at least twice. So, yeah, like this is how you can cut your costs on lodging, is by cohabitating. Some hotels are good with that. Other hotels are not. So just be aware of that, because they're technically losing money per head. So just be aware of the circumstance in which you're staying. Obviously, if you're doing an Airbnb, most Airbnbs won't be adjacent to con. So now you've got the travel and, that sort of thing.
Notably in Vegas, I'm not sure, exactly how far it goes or whatever, but there's that train thing, and I'm not sure about costs, but it does go from the convention center area to like up and down the whole strip. So, I mean, there may be an opportunity to jump on something public transportation like that might be cheaper than an Uber. I'm not sure though. I haven't looked into it.
I can't recall. When I was at Vegas last year, I spent the first 4 days at the con, and then the next 4 or 5 days on a anniversary trip. And we got a monorail pass, but I can't remember for the life of me what it cost. So you can get.
I've seen it. I just have never used it. But I imagine, as public transportation goes, it's probably relatively affordable, because I mean, it's a thing that's going 24/7, and there's a billion people there, so like they wouldn't want to ostracize everybody.
Okay, the last category, and then we'll get into some anecdotal experiences about what to expect when you get to your con, is. Should I fly or should I drive? Now, Izlain, living in the Los Angeles area, driving to Vegas, it's a couple hours,
4.
Yeah, a couple 4 hours. That's worthy of a driving distance, in my mind's eye, right?
So, I mean, I'll go into other extraneous expenses, but just if you think about it like this, it took me less than a full tank of gas to get there and less than a full tank of gas to get home. Full tank of gas was in this car because I got a rental, but again, we'll talk about more of that later. In this particular car, it cost me when I was on basically empty in Vegas. It cost, because Vegas gas is cheaper than California gas. It was $3 something a gallon, so it was easy to put. It was $50 to fill it up, and then I got home and I was still at like a quarter tank and just had to fill it back up. And then here, it cost me about $50 also, even though it wasn't an empty tank. It was 3/4 of a tank, but I digress. That compared to a plane ticket that'll probably cost you $500-$600 round trip, maybe. I don't know, because I've literally never taken a plane anywhere because I've never had anywhere to go, and Vegas just seems like I don't know, just I like driving, so I don't mind.
Yeah,
but I could see where like going to Chicago, I would have to fly, and I don't know what those prices are, but I know that planes
Chicago
be more expensive than driving.
Chicago is 11-hour drive from where I am. So from Fargo to
tack on like another 10-12 hours.
Yeah,
for me.
So Fargo to Chicago is 11 hours. Now it is roughly like 4 hours by plane. So there's time. Now driving, I don't know what it would cost to drive, but once you start getting over, in my mind's eye, over 4 to 5 hours in time, now time is worth something because it's starting to eat in. You either have to take off more time to account for that driving to the con, so that way you're not driving during the con. So there's that to account for, but also like if I recall, my Chicago plane ticket from earlier this year was like $600. So,
is that round trip?
Round trip. So yeah, 4 hour.
I would say you're probably spending, maybe not all that, but you're probably spending at least half of that on gas if you were to drive.
So this is why I brought up the time, because the time. So right now, the way I schedule it is, I like to get to cons on a Thursday. That's me personally. I have a job where I can afford to take the extra day off or extra days. I like to book in my my con experience with a little time on either side. Number one, it's because I'm old. Number two, it's like everybody is flying out at the same time, and I'm smart enough to let everybody just kind of go.
I usually did. I used to always go on Thursday. This year I went out on Friday because I wanted to stay till Monday, because I wanted to miss the mass exodus. So I get what you're saying. So
I'll get on a flight Monday or Thursday morning, and I'll fly down, usually get to wherever it is that I'm going by the middle of Thursday afternoon, right in time to check into your hotel. See, timing.
Right. That was how I did it too. Yeah.
Timing is everything. And then if you got badges for the weekend, they have a open period at the con where you can show up on Thursday afternoon, evening, and you can pick up your badges. And that line is much smaller than the line on the following days. So now,
notably, if at least this is the first year that they did it for me, I bought mine early enough in advance. They mailed it to me, so I had my badge like weeks before.
It just depends,
and that seems like a new thing, because in years past, I always had to go and pick my shit up when I got there, just like you're explaining. But this year they did that differently, and I don't know if that's how they're going to do it going forward. But if you're an early bird, they will mail it to you.
So,
which is nice.
That may depending on the level, on the level of badge you get. So if you get a Black Lotus, high profile badge, they're not going to mail that to you, because they're not going to risk losing that in the mail. They're going to have that specially.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So if you get an intermediary badge, I got a legendary badge last year for Vegas. Legendary weekend, which gave me some swag and stuff. Ironically, it was about the same swag that I got from the creator badge, but I digress. So showing up on that Thursday, they didn't mail it to me. I basically got a QR code for my badge. I showed up, they scanned the QR code, gave me my badge, gave me my swag. Thursday, done. All I had to do was wake up, have breakfast, and stroll into the con. And while everybody's piling up in those badge lines, you're like, oh, I'm going to go over here and do something, fun, so.
Yeah. So to counter that a little bit, not that your method is exactly what I've done in the past. But this year I decided, because it was still going to be the same amount of nights, instead of staying Thursday night, I decided I wanted to stay Sunday night. Because normally I would not stay till the end of the con. I would leave Sunday morning because I had already felt like I had gotten my experience out of it. I didn't need the third day. I'm leaving. I'm gonna drive home, try to beat the traffic, whatever. In this case, I was like, I don't want to do that, because the last time I went, the drive down the 15, it was like bumper to bumper for hours, and I hated it. Even though I thought I was beating the traffic, I didn't, and it was terrible. So this time I was like, no, I'm going to stay for the whole con, and then be able to go get dinner, whatever, hang out, spend the night, and leave on Monday morning instead. But then I did exactly what you said, where I timed it to where I could get there by the time I checked in, but I did it on Friday. So I missed the opening chunk of it. But I also missed like all of the fluster of everybody trying to get in at the same time and all that. I got to arrive there when I wanted to. I already had my badge. I walked in when I felt like it, and it was fine. So that there are all kinds of different ways you could do this, but just plan it out. Yeah. Whatever's going to work best for you.
Okay, so a brief recap. So MagicCon is a community-based event. WotC, Wizards of the Coast, and all their various departments, design, creator, type people, what have you. They're literally trying to market the current product and the next future product, which is usually right there on the precipice.
Yeah,
they're doing some initial.
They had a Bloomberg like big like fartsy fucking setup thing to promote that, because it was their most recent standard set. So yeah, they're anything that's kind of recent, and then whatever's coming up, they're spoiling.
And you'll have. This one had the Pro Tour, but you'll usually have some sort of like event, like some 60 card event that's co-located.
Supposedly they had some cPDH tournaments and things too, but I heard that they didn't go over very well. But
then on top of that, you'll have pay to play stuff where you can do specific formats. Modern, legacy
drafts. I heard two-headed giant stuff happening.
Yeah. And
then with some of those tickets and things, there's a prize wall where you can go and buy various things that aren't really, they're available elsewhere, but like you can get them for your tickets. So instead of having to pay money to go buy a pre-con, you can just go up and I have enough tickets to get the pre-con, and you get it. And it's free, but you kind of paid for it too.
Yeah, so that's something that I didn't cover in the original. So at these cons, you can get.
This one had an actual official store too, which was different.
This is what I was going to get
sorry.
at. So I won't say that you won't get exclusive access to product because it's Wizards, but quite often you'll get early access to product. Like for example, if you recall the Festival in a Box or whatever that was here recently, that had the Ponder promos and stuff in it. Those were available in Chicago for the first time, and the non-foil versions of those Ponders were like $40 and $50, and the foil ones were like $300. And then once the Festival in the Box released, that all came crashing down.
I had that in 2018 or 2019. One of the very first, it was still Grand Prix back then that I went to. It was the first time that they did that fucking foil Soul Ring that was gorgeous. And it was selling for $100 at the con. I could have sold it to anybody I wanted to for $100. I was like, no, I'm keeping this. This is amazing. And then Festival in a Box, et cetera, et cetera. That card's not worth anything. But it was, for a ton, it was very valuable.
So, yeah, I mean, outside of that, you get access to, like, they do secret layer releases that are available there, that whether or not they sell them later, once again, you get access to things early. That's the point. So between the play spaces, the store, the vendors, which not only are they selling cards, they're also selling, like, everything.
Deck boxes, protectors. I saw like somebody was selling like leather bags and other things that were pretty crazy, and just all kinds of stuff.
And then the artists, which some of the artists actually cap their time because people just rush over and there's like a million people and they can't get through them so be aware if you go see a popular artist, there's a likelihood that unless you get there early, always plan. Unless you get there early.
Or buy the Black Lotus Pass and skip the lines.
Or that. Okay, so that's what you can expect at the con. We talked about the price of the ticketing. We talked about some lodging options and whether or not you should drive or fly. Now,
so I have a little one small little bit about both the lodging and the travel.
Yep.
Just for my own personal anecdotes, something to be aware of. So the lodging I got, as we said, the closer you get to the con, it's going to change. I've gone to the same hotel every time I've gone. It's the Mardi Gras. It's within walking distance. It's very close. It's on Paradise, same as the con. It's literally like a block away. Easiest ever. And it's super cheap because it's not really a high rated. It's like a 2-star hotel or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not great. It's a little shabby, but I don't give a shit because I'm only there to sleep. Right. So who cares? In years past, it was like $200 for the whole weekend. This year, I looked and it was booked, and I was like, oh no. And then, like, 3 or 4 days before the con, I just happened to look at their website and they had a room open up, and I was like, oh hell yeah. So I booked it immediately. But yeah, it was like 400 instead of 200. So like it goes up a bit. And so that sucked a little bit. But then also there's a deposit. They take $100 of yours and it just sits there in the ether. Same thing. For the first time in my life, even though I'm in my 40s, first time I ever rented a car, $200. It was $187 or something to get the rental. $300 deposit. I had $400 just floating in the ether I could have used at the con, and I did not budget for. That was my spending money. So I literally was living off of credit cards while I was up there.
This was
not ideal. This is something you need to take into account if you're going to rent anything or you're going to, get any sort of room. Be prepared. There may be extra charges you don't know about that will affect your budget overall. So make sure to take that in mind.
And I can't drive this home enough. Stay con adjacent.
Yes.
Buy early, and then budget in, however much you're going to spend for food and all that.
So in the room that I had also has a mini fridge. This time I didn't do it, but in years past, I brought a cooler with shit to make sandwiches, snacks, other things. Put it in the mini fridge. When you're hungry at the con, don't go over and spend $5 for a soda and $15 for a sandwich. Go back to your room. Make a basic bitch sandwich that costs you 35 cents. Mm-hmm. Eat, be happy, and go back to the con. It's in walking distance, so
because
why not?
You're a block
and if
away.
you need to take a nap, take a nap. I did that too. It's day 2. I was so fucking tired because I didn't get shit for sleep because of neighbors and whatnot. I went to the con, dropped off the pauper sign to the guys, hung out, played a game, and then said, I'm going to go get something to eat. I went and grabbed lunch, came back. I knocked out for like 4 hours. Then woke up and everybody was like, well, we left the con already. Well, c'est la vie, but there are options there to be able to maximize the amount of money you can spend at the con rather than what you're going to spend on lodging and food and everything else. However, you should also budget because you can go do great things like go eat Korean barbecue. There's famous tacos on the strip. There's all kinds of stuff to eat there. Other places you might want to go, and like Bobby and the pals, they were out gambling and shit till 4 a.m. Like there's other things to do in Vegas besides the con. So bring extra money.
Okay, so relative to tickets, passes tend to go on sale a week or two after the previous con. And that's been the cycle for about 18 months now. So Vegas just happened. The Chicago passes should be opening up
because it's happening in February.
Because it's happening in February. So now creators, my creator friends out there. So I posted, we got a creator space, PDH creator space that some folks are in. Well, PDH creator, like con space. So creators who go to cons. There you go. That's what I'm looking for. Not all creators are in there, just the creators that go to cons. So I posted a link in there. They are about to make the creator application link for Chicago available. So
yeah, don't be like me and miss it. Don't be a dumbass. Do it early.
Now, a creator badge gives you weekend. It's equivalent to a weekend badge, right? So you get the entire weekend access. You get a swag bag, all of that stuff. The problem, and listen to me closely, the problem is it's not guaranteed. So if you put all your money on getting a creator badge and you're buying your flight and all this other stuff, and you don't buy a weekend badge, right? What happens if you don't get that creator badge and the weekend badges are all sold out? So my creator friends out there, hear me, hear the voice. This isn't the voice of experience. I'm a planner, so I don't, that stuff doesn't happen to me. But,
right.
but
I missed the creator deadline this last time, and it was easy to get a weekend badge. So that may or may not be a problem. I just know that they closed the window before I even knew it existed. Because this is a relatively new phenomenon. They didn't really have creator stuff, 5-6 years ago when it was Grand Prix. That wasn't a thing. You could go and you're a creator, people would know you because they know you, but you didn't have a badge saying like I'm this guy. That seems to be a newer phenomenon. I'm not sure when they started it, but either way.
So also for my creators, when you apply for the creator badge, I've gotten 2. In fact, here they are right here. I've gotten 2 creator badges. There's that legendary pass that I bought. So when you apply for a creator badge, you are going to have to
flex, bro.
Yeah, you're going to have to provide metrics. So when you don't be surprised when you hit the application, it's like, oh, why is it asking me about my reach, my social media reach for Twitter and all these platforms? Yeah. It's because they care. So do a little homework on what your metrics are and have that ready for when you show up. And then make sure, like, for whatever platforms that you interact with, you've got the metrics for those. And they're going to give you some space to write a paragraph or 2, right? Be compelling.
That'd be hard. Sell yourself. That's
be compelling. And then
you're out here trying to sell yourself online anyway. So how hard is it to sell yourself
100.
to these guys? Especially there's so many of the popper guys that got this. Like none of us are huge. We're a niche within a niche. So it is possible to be a small creator and still get the badge.
No.
So don't be discouraged. Go ahead and shoot your shot.
Now with your creator badge, should you get accepted, you're going to be presented with some options to do these like meet and greets for Creator Central. Remember that place we talked about?
Right.
So with Creator Central, you can sign up for a slot. Most big creators get closer to Friday and Saturday morning. Most smaller creators get Saturday afternoon into Sunday, just the way that it works. So you'll get an opportunity. It's like an hour and a half of time to sit there and interact with people, to put your name up on a large board, so that way people know, like, oh yeah, these folks will be on at this time, and they'll come by, and you'll usually pass out your stickers and all that stuff, or whatever swag that you're creating. We in the PDH community, we're notorious for stickers and proxies.
I had stickers too. Yeah.
So there's even opportunity at some at Vegas last year. Diana, who's the head of the Creators Project, gave us some secret layers and some packs and stuff like that to pass out as people are coming through. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of options. In the past, I've seen cPDH creators do like little like special events adjacent to Creator Central. They negotiated with Diana, the Madam Creator, for that. There's also like drafts. I mean, I've seen any number of like little things that are happening. They'll have I forget what it's called, but like they had like the giant cardboard version cutouts of specific Magic cards, and they were like doing little events with like either pick the card or pack wars or something weird with like props and stuff like that. Yeah, needless to say, there's 1,000,001 things that you can do. You just got to dream it, coordinate with the right people, and this is how you can hopefully extend your reach into those Magic folks, those regular Magic folks coming back to them, who are spending their hard-earned money to come play and be around Magic and that sort of thing. So,
and even without a creator pass, just hanging out and being available to play games with, like I had several people come up to me and mention me by name and be like, hey, we like your deck, or we like your thing, or we like your channel, we like this and that. And I'm small time, so getting something like that was amazing.
So for those of you, accoutrement. So Izlain already talked about sandwiches and drinks, a cheat code for if you're driving in or something like that. Or even if you're not driving in, if you just have the opportunity to kind of stock up before the con, kind of get some materials there at a local, Walmart or CVS or something like that, put it in your room. But this right here, this this set of equipment. So this is Loop or other brand earplugs. Con spaces are loud, and if you're there for 10 hours, it will start to wear on you. So even myself, who is used to, well, I'm halfway deaf anyway, doing military service, but also like just by virtue of being a little older
and
all
everything.
that stuff. So
I mean, we've been to live concerts and shit. We didn't care. And now we're paying the price, right?
Exactly.
that constant droning in your ear. You don't notice it while you're there. You're focused on your game or whatever. What I noticed was less of an issue with hearing and auditory problems. I had more of a problem with not being able to focus on the games because you're in this play space where you're like where we got day one, we were kind of cornered off just because of the way it worked out. But day 2 and 3, we were smack dab in the middle of the command zone. Like right as soon as you walked up the stairs, we were there. There's our sign. We're here. And people literally, because Bobby made that secret the initiative dungeon, the Undercity token thing that was oversized. It was sitting there, and our sign was sitting there, and we're sitting there, and people were just coming up in droves, just right by you. And you're trying to play a game, and you just got this constant I felt overstimulated at certain points to where it was like, okay, I'm gonna stop playing. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna hit my vape a little bit and just decompress because there's just way too much shit going around. And like you're trying to play a game competitively, and it's really hard to keep track of what you're doing with all of this distraction and people coming out. Like me, Ryan, Bobby, Lobber, everybody, Derek, we're all at some point like also talking to the people that are walking by. Hey, you want to play games? Hey, you interested in this? Trying to suck more people in and not having the table space to let them play, but then also having the table space. It was just it's crazy nonstop from start to finish. So finding a way to be able to go away and decompress for a little while is definitely
expect to be overwhelmed. It definitely, yeah.
And this is like my 4th one, so I knew what to expect. I know what happens going into these, but it's still like kind of just like sensory overload for a while. So it's definitely nice to go to the Korean barbecue place afterwards, just chill, talk with your buddies, eat some food, and relax.
Yeah. So we didn't talk much about like food and stuff, and so relative to being an individual traveler, I don't have much recent experience doing that. A lot of my my con related travel has been with other PDH folks. Right. So now for you guys out there who are traveling to your first cons and stuff like that, this isn't necessarily for you, and I apologize.
I recommend not going solo for your first one either. Right. Like room up with somebody, go together so you can figure it out together, because it's a lot to navigate.
Now this next thing is not necessarily for you, and I apologize, but usually the Friday night of the con, I'll organize a dinner where we have the PDH people show up and we'll all eat. I mean, we've had like up to 20 people show up to this thing, nice. So it's always fun calling up the restaurant and saying, yeah, like a reservation for 20, that sort of thing. But yeah, to that point, and to Izlain's point, try even if you just meet somebody, because you're going to meet people at the con, even if you're like, there's certain things that you want to do by yourself. Being at a MagicCon is not one of them, right? So you're going to end up making friends.
There is kind of it is kind of nice to have a room to yourself. If you can afford it, getting your own room by yourself is kind of nice. Even if you are going with other people and you just happen to get a room that's separate from theirs, but you're within the same building, that can be fine. There's something to be said about being able to get to the room by yourself and have just peace and quiet, or just be able to turn on the TV and watch whatever dumb shit that they have on basic cable. I watched a horror movie marathon one of the nights because I couldn't sleep, and that was what was there. So, being able to just sit and relax and be there by yourself, sit in your underwear if you want to, not have to worry about it. That's there's something to be said about that. But also there's something to be said about having a partner that's there with you that you're going to roll around and do everything together with. So it's really just
that's looking out for you, that you're looking out for them.
Right.
Because, there's been lots of stuff stolen at cons. I know. So you talk now from a PDH standpoint, we're talking like, $40 to $60, but
I was taking my expensive cPDH decks there, and you're definitely holding on to them for dear life. But then also meeting up with a group like the Popper guys, it was great because we all did that. We all were able to like let our bags sit there with other people we trust that aren't going to fuck with our stuff, that aren't going to let it get stolen. And we were able to get up and go use the restroom or grab a bite or go whatever. Also, notably, con food is fucking crazy. Like the prices that they have for things in there is ridiculous. But like there was literally a 7-Eleven across the street. So instead of paying $5 for a soda, just take a break, walk across the street, get $1 big gulp, and or whatever, get your energy drink, whatever you need, throw it in your bag. They don't care that you bring outside drinks in. So, and you could also just be like, I bought it here. Like, what are they going to say? Like it's a bottle of soda. So there are ways to save some money and to keep it all within your budget.
Be smart.
I mean,
plan.
if you're rolling in dough, then great. Spend your $15 on the sandwich and be happy with it. But I'm not that guy.
All right. So I think we covered the majority of things. Like I said, I'll drop some links relative to the MagicCon stuff.
I think the only thing that we didn't really touch on is really like, I don't know if you want to, but just the what to expect as far as playing with strangers. But I guess that's kind of the same thing that goes along with any LGS or anything else. Just try to be decent individuals, not piece of shit. Don't rage on random people if you can avoid it. Like I don't know how something about general con etiquette. Just try to be the best version of yourself and put your best foot forward.
But also,
you're interacting with strangers. Like we literally were teaching little kids how to play. So
yeah, Chicago was probably the worst. On Saturday, the con was so full, there was no place for people to sit down at a table and play. People were pulling up on the floor to play. Like not 2 people, not 4 people, hundreds of people were on the floor playing. So
that's bad on the venue, obviously, because this place, there was tons of people, and I never saw there were spots where there were no empty tables, but there were always some sort of empty table somewhere.
And it's possible that they provided enough of an offering to like have additional tables, yada yada yada. But just be aware that there's going to be a lot of people, and when I say a lot of people, 10,000 people. It's like a small football event. Think of it that way.
It's a sports gathering or anything else that you've been to that's like a huge thing. It's like wandering down Main Street at Disneyland when the fucking fireworks are going off. There is no room to walk. There's no room to breathe. So you guys basically pop up your little tent at a table and you kind of hang out there because that's what you can do. Obviously, they have a little bit more rotation in these things because there's LFGs and things on demand stuff that the actual employees are facilitating to get groups together and whatnot. Then there's also just people who are just sitting down at free tables and getting games going. And then there's people like us that had a home base, so to speak, and that we were trying to attract people to this format. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, and you have to take into account that everybody is doing their own thing. And
so that'll be the last thing. So I know you don't have other things to compare it to, but strangers that showed up that are outside of the in-group, that showed up talking about PDH, how many? From what I hear, that was a lot.
At least it was hundreds. It was in the hundreds for sure.
Really?
I was there. So I was there late on Friday because I drove in Friday. So I didn't show up to the con until sometime close to like 4 p.m. And I was there from 4 p.m. until about, I think we left at like 8 or 9. So for a good chunk before we went to dinner. And in that time, lots of people came by. But I also had the sign. So they had been there for hours without the sign. I came, we put the sign up, and then even more people were coming by because they're looking at the sign and going, oh, never heard of this. Look at these rules, whatever. And then me, Ryan, Lobert, everybody that was there, hey, have you ever played? Are you interested? Here's this, here's that. These things, come by, come play. And then we had people like, there was 2 guys that came from Austria that spoke pretty broken English. They were just like, we want to learn to play. And we're like, okay. And they sat down and they played. There was this group of little kids that none of us wanted to deal with, but Bobby being the guy that he is, he was like, I'll play with them, fine. And then he said that they actually picked it up really fast and they were really cutthroat and it was fun and whatever. So, there was a lot of people that came by. And then I had, again, the first time since I've been at a con, Had people come up to me and say, "Hey, I like your Arabella deck. I like your Silvers deck." I don't even know where the fuck they saw it. I'm like, okay, you saw it, because one guy was sitting across from me. He's like, "Oh, I love your deck," and I was like, "How do you know my deck?" And he's like, "Well, I've been watching your stuff and blah blah blah." I was like, "Oh, are you part of something?" And he was like, "No, just a fan." Whoa, first time, shell shocked a little bit. And then it wasn't just him; there was others, and it turns out that guy lives somewhere here in SoCal, kind of close to me. I invited him to join my Discord, and maybe that might be more people we pull into the fold. But he already had his own deck, already knew how to play. We had lots of people that came by, didn't know how to play, wanted to play. They took the pals or Bobbies or whoever's additional decks and played them against us. Had a good time. I even played other decks because we got into some pods where it was like not competitive. I played one of Bobby's decks and lost. I played one of the Palace decks and won. So it was a good experience for everybody, I think. And there was a lot of foot traffic because we were so centrally located. As soon as you went up these stairs, command zone sign, us right below it, Popper EDH sign. Like, people could not see us. So they walked by. Those Undercity tokens that Bobby made, he said he printed like 150 of them. They were gone early day 2. Gone. I got one, but like we all got one, but like he gave those away, and people were disappointed when they came by because they saw like one of the games we were playing on day 3. I had the initiative and I was using the token, and people were like, "Oh, they do have a small version. I want one." And I was like, "Sorry, man, they're all gone." Oh, that sucks. So like the demand is there. People are paying attention. And from what I compared notes with other people like Paul and others that were like there last year, comparing what they experienced to what I experienced, it sounds like the uptick has happened and the awareness is there, and we're all doing the Lord's work. So let's just keep it up.
Right on. All right, that's a perfect place to end. How good we are. So,
hell yeah.
my friends, my Pauper Commander friends out there. I know we made MagicCon sound like this really big monstrosity. It kind of is, but I wouldn't say it's I wouldn't say it's a once in a lifetime experience because you can do it multiple times, but it's definitely a magnet.
You should do it once. At least.
It's a magnet type of. Geez, I'm doing the Trump thing. It's a magnet type of experience.
It's very.
Yeah. So, but no, like in seriousness, it's definitely something that you should be doing in this modern era. You know, the con system is so different than it used to be. It's probably not going to be this way in 5 years either. Hopefully it'll be better, but like, you know, I digress.
It's improving, I would say.
So yeah, get out there, plan ahead, plan with friends, make the journey, you know, take the trip, you know, the pay homage to the MTG gods, as it were.
Honestly, it's if you do it just right and you budget just right, you can do the whole thing for under $1,000 if you're not flying. Somebody like me who's been able to, you know, drive in, has been able to, you know, bring the cooler with sandwiches in it or whatever. If you whatever costs you can cut on surviving so that you can enjoy the con and spend more money there. So that's what I would recommend. Anything you can do to make it there.
And the flip side, like me traveling from Fargo to like Chicago or Vegas, you know, either one, the conversation starts at $1,000. Starts. So
no, it can be something that's affordable if you save up for it, or you have credit cards, or you have other ways that you can make it happen and then pay it off throughout the year. And again, that's why I haven't gone to some of those farther ones, because it would be more than $1,000, and like $1,000 is about where I try to cap it at. But you know, it is what it is. You'll find your own budget, and you know, you'll find your way, and it's something. There's something for everyone.
There's a wide range. Yeah, there's a wide range, and yeah, you'll definitely, like you said, find something for everybody. Okay. Thank you, Izlain, for showing up. I really do. Sounds like your con experience was amazing, and I am super jealous. It was
good. I'm looking forward to 2025. I'm not looking forward to being in June. It's 120 at Vegas, and that makes the walk hurt a little bit, but still gonna do it. And I hope to see all you guys there. I hope to see you there, because you were sorely missed for sure. Lots of people asked. I got asked more than once, where's Clay at? he couldn't make it. Sorry. So your presence was notably absent. So maybe you can make it. I hope maybe some of the Florida crew can make it. I know Kunks was supposed to make it this time, but shit happened with that hurricane and whatnot, so they just expenses and whatever couldn't happen. So yeah, I'm hoping that next time we have an even better showing. But yeah, I'll be there next year. If you want to meet me, I'll be there. Maybe I'll have the creator badge. Maybe I'll do some meet and greet shit. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, looking forward to the next one.
And until then, he'll give me his contact information, his socials, and what have you. Follow the links in the description, and you can watch his journey from now until then. I'm sure he'll say something to make you fall even more deeply in love between now and then.
Look into my eyes.
All right. Say goodbye, Clay. Goodbye.
Bye, Clay.
All right, brother.